Just to introduce who we've got on stage then. So I am Jess. I'm the CMO of Sweat Economy. I'm joined today as a co-mod with Charlie, who is our head of content. And we today will be interviewing Henry, who you will be meeting for the first time. So we're delighted that Henry is joining us on the stage today. He's our head of crypto. I'll let him introduce himself shortly. But before we introduce you to Henry, I wanted to give you all a bit of an update, as always, on some of the stats and the success and everything that's happening with Sweat since the last AMA. So the key stats, the most important ones are we are now up to 160,000 Twitter followers, which is incredible. Thank you so much to any of you that are engaging with us there. We have hugely high engagement rates and lots of interesting conversation and feedback and validation coming back from people on Twitter. So hugely appreciate your support there. And of course yourselves. We are now at 50,000 members of the Discord, which is just incredible for a project this young. So that has been in under 2 months. We've grown this Discord community to that number. And we are getting so much insight from you. So please keep it going. We love hearing your questions. We love hearing your feedback, your ideas. It's a huge source of insight and validation for what we're trying to do here with Sweat. And obviously we'd love to double, treble, quadruple these numbers in the run up to TGE. So do get all your friends involved as well. And the all important stat. So we are approaching now 8 million wallets. This is absolutely huge. This is undoubtedly the largest on-ramp that has been seen. It's certainly the largest adoption of Web 2 users into Web 3. And we are sustaining very, very high rates of daily adoption as well. So we will continue to see those rise, and indeed we'll be celebrating all those milestones with you. So it's just incredible validation for the fact that people love what we're doing, and also, of course, this Web 2 adoption that we're achieving. And one thing that is really sustaining those numbers is the fact that Sweatcoin itself, our sort of parent app, and indeed how all of you are counting your steps right now, has just broken through 90 million users. So that app itself is growing hugely rapidly, partly, I'm sure, due to the potential for the crypto adoption, but also just due to people's love and the new territories and geographies that we're expanding into. So very, very exciting times for both Sweatcoin and Sweat Economy. And you'll see, we really want all these new users to be having a lot of fun with what we're doing. So you will have seen, hopefully some of you, we're running an Everyday Heroes campaign at the moment on Twitter. Please do post your videos of you being an everyday hero, earning your sweat coins and your sweat on a daily basis. There will be prizes for that, and obviously we love to see it. So it's incredibly inspiring. Please do get involved with that hashtag initiative on Twitter if you see it. So a big thank you, frankly, to all of you. We really, really appreciate your support. So, as I've mentioned today, we're really excited that Henry, our Chief Crypto Officer, is joining us for his first AMA. I think everyone's heard enough from Oleg for a while, although he'll be back very soon. Henry, we wanted to hand the mic over to you. Do you want to give us just a little bit of background and context, just a couple of minutes on your career, your background, what you've been doing, and I guess why you're with Sweat? That'd be fabulous.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. Great to meet you and connect with you all for the first time. I'm really, really excited to be speaking to the Sweat Economy community. I'm Henry, Chief Crypto Officer at Sweat Economy. I started out my career actually in traditional finance in hedge funds. I then moved into Deliveroo, which many of you may be familiar with. It's kind of like a European Uber Eats. I was in the headquarters in London for a couple of years. I fell in love with crypto in 2017 and became fascinated by it then. And I joined crypto full time in January 2019, actually joining the Bitfinex group. So many of you might know Bitfinex. It's one of the biggest and most successful exchanges within crypto. Been around a long time. So what did I do with Bitfinex? I started out by actually kind of creating and launching Bitfinex's token sale platform. which was Bitfinex token sales. And that was really great because, early sort of 2019 was the first kind of IEO wave, which some of you may remember if you were kind of participating in IEOs back then. And so that was an amazing experience. We ran a couple of really, really successful IEOs for projects like Ampleforth and Ultra that have gone on to be really successful. I then moved into a role of head of tokens at Bitfinex, which meant that I was kind of working on most of the company's token-facing commercial activities. So what does that mean? That meant I was doing things like listing, staking, helping the company invest in exciting new token projects, and generally looking at special projects. And that's actually how I came across Sweatcoin. I started speaking with Oleg about 3 years ago. I was trying to get him to do an IEO on Bitfinex token sales because I thought it was such an interesting and unique project that I really, really liked and loved. And I obviously just loved the size, the scale, the mission of making the world more physically active. Obviously, Sweatcoin weren't ready to go crypto back then, but we kept talking and kept on exchanging ideas about tokenomics and how we could kind of make the transition from Web 2 into Web 3. And we stayed in touch, and I sort of got the call over the summer where Oleg said, yeah, look, now's the time. And, we spoke a lot about it, and I joined as Chief Crypto Officer in September. And here I am. I'm delighted to be here. I guess, why did I choose Sweat Economy? I was pretty fortunate, right? Because I saw so many different crypto projects. You see all the good and the bad ones in a role like that at a big exchange. And simple answer was that it was just too good to say no to, right? For so many reasons, but it was too exciting. I realized an opportunity like Sweat Economy doesn't come around very often, so it was something that I simply couldn't miss.
Thanks, Henry. That's great context. I mean, my question, what does a chief crypto officer do then? How would you describe your sort of day-to-day obsessions and kind of responsibilities at the moment within Sweat?
That's a great question. So what do I do? I basically help guide the company's crypto-related strategy. Sweatcoin's kind of Sweat Economy is a slightly unique case because we have a large existing Web 2 business, right? With obviously a team who's built that and everything that comes around it. And then we're trying to launch this crypto product and angle. And obviously the landscape of crypto is very different to that of Web 2. So I'm really focusing on making sure that we're navigating that in all the best ways. We're structuring token economics such that the token is as successful as we can make it. Making sure that we're partnering with everybody that we need to partner with, whether that be the best centralized exchanges, the best market makers. Making sure that we've got liquidity on the right chains. We're considering things like bridging, as well as helping on our kind of ecosystem development and general strategy as relates to crypto.
Fab. I have a question before we dive into a number of the questions that have come into us from Discord users. I mean, I'd say that within our organization, you're probably kind of the most savvy and knowledgeable about the Web3 space, what's hot, what's not, what's happening. If you take Sweat out of the equation for a moment, given obviously your passion, you're sold, you're here. What's really intriguing you and or worrying you about what you're seeing in Web3 at the moment? It's obviously been a pretty tumultuous last 2 or 3 weeks. I appreciate this could be a long answer, but in a nutshell, I guess, what's exciting you? What are you really tuned into and reading a lot on at the moment?
That's a great question. So I guess I think I'd like to split the answer into kind of 2 sections. One is maybe market conditions, and then 2 is like exciting developments. So, market conditions. The funny thing is that I actually, when I signed my contract with Bitfinex, I signed it on the very, I think it was the very bottom in terms of price of the last bear market. So I signed that contract, I think, in like October or November 2018. So ETH had just hit like $80, right? Which seems a very, very long way away. So I provide that context because I think, I've now like been through an entire market cycle. And, particularly when you're on an exchange, you see it most exposed because that's literally where the action is happening. And so I'm not so concerned about what we're seeing in the market at the moment. Like, I've just seen it before. I think it seems to be part of the cycle, but I'm certainly not up for predicting how long or how bad it's going to get, and when it gets better. And then in terms of what I'm excited about in crypto more generally, I think that the most exciting thing is really the arrival of these new generation blockchains. The best example really is near, which is of course what we're building on. It's because for the first time, right, we suddenly can actually put mass market products like sweat economy onto the blockchain. It's not been possible so far, right? So far, it's basically been blockchains have been dominated. Well, outside of Bitcoin, it's been dominated by Ethereum and other EVM compatible chains, which are great for certain things like DeFi, but they're not great for much else, particularly applications that require high speed and low cost transactions such as ours. So I think we're now at the point where we can start to see really mass adoption of crypto. And I think that was one of the reasons why I got so excited about Sweat Economy, is because I think we are the first large, successful Web2 company moving into crypto. And I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, most Web2 companies will be moving into crypto in some capacity. So I think that that's really, really exciting. The other thing I'm excited about as well is kind of cross-chain interoperability. There's some really exciting kind of solutions coming up. You see Wormhole, you see Stargate from Layer Zero Labs, which is exciting, plus lots of other options. Like we see Aurora and Rainbow Bridge on Near. And I think that then as soon as you end up with like really, really strong cross-chain solutions, you suddenly create genuine metaverses and genuine interoperability, which is helping us to realize the full potential of crypto.
Thank you. I always really love listening to you speak. I learned so much from your sort of in-depth knowledge and insight into what's happening within the space. I'm sure I will continue to ask you lots of idiot questions myself, but you answer them with great patience, and it's hugely appreciated. Now, we do have some very interesting questions that have come into us from the community. Charlie and I are going to jump in and out of a document here where we've compiled a few of them, so we'll perhaps alternate. There is no token prize for anybody that manages to discern the fact that Charlie and Henry sound very similar, and you may well be able to work out why, seeing as they are voice twins. Charlie, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for that, Jess.
Okay, yeah. All right. There's no token prize for working out why they might be connected in some way. Right, let's jump straight into the questions. We're going to run through these for about 15, 20 minutes. See how far we get, and then we'll be delighted. I can see we've already got a number of hands raised for you, Henry, whether you've said anything controversial already that somebody wants to take you to task for, or they just want to get more of your insight. Who knows? We will find out. But we'll start with some of the questions that have come into us over the last week. The first one here is from a community member called Defected Psy. And he said, can you please talk about the dynamic aspects of the NFTs for us, please, Henry?
Absolutely, yeah. So the whole kind of principle that our NFT experience rests upon is that the NFTs are going to have some kind of performance, right? And that performance is represented as an ability to generate extra value for you, our users, with your physical activity. So what you're going to have is different levels of performance, and the higher the level, the greater your earnings. So in this, the part that's dynamic is that the performance itself is dynamic, right? You're going to have the different kind of ability to earn more or earn less for your physical activity based on how you choose to interact, upgrade, maintain your NFT. And so this is really, really exciting. We can't share too much because we want to keep it as a surprise because it's really, really exciting. But what we can share is that your NFT will have a couple of different factors that you can upgrade and customize as you want to. So it's really something that's yours, and that you can own and sort of develop it as you wish. So the first thing is that the NFT is going to have levels, and the higher the level, the more greater the earning potential it's going to have. It's also going to have rarities, right? And obviously, the rarer your NFT, the higher the value, the more exclusive it is, and again, the greater earning potential it's going to have. And then the other thing that the NFT will have is a kind of decaying asset, right? Which will be energy, and you have to obviously maintain the NFT's energy in order for it to really achieve its full earning potential and full performance.
Thank you very much, Henry. I'll just jump in here with another great question that I spotted in the Discord channel from a user called Dreaded Canary. Great username and a great question he's got too. The question is, how would the team prevent big whales from market manipulation?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And obviously that's something that we thought about a lot, because, we want to protect our community, right? Community's the most important thing that we have. And so I think that, how do we protect against market manipulation from whales? Well, I think that there's a kind of protection by design, in the sense that there's a cap on the amount of sweat that any individual can mint in a single day. So that means that you can't have professional guilds or other big entities or organizations, coming together and farming the network and exploiting it and extracting all the value, meaning that there's no kind of value left for the everyday normal user. And then the other thing I think is that, if you look at just the core principles, the first principles of Sweat, right? Sweat is a move to earn token. It is minted by your physical activity and only by your physical activity, right? And so the great thing about that is that everybody's step is the same, right? Elon Musk's step is counted the same as your step, as my step, as everybody's step. Doesn't matter how wealthy that person is. That's totally different, of course, to other kind of blockchain minting processes like Bitcoin proof of work or proof of stake consensus protocols, where obviously there's an advantage and even a necessity to have a lot of money to be able to spend on either mining equipment or on accumulating enough tokens so that you can participate in proof of stake consensus systems. I hope that answers the question.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We actually had another question from Dreaded Canary, a little bit more macro, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. He's asked, what real-world applications are there for the token?
Great question, Dreaded Canary, from a great name too. I love that. Yeah, so I think the first application of the token, right, is really to achieve our mission. So as I'm sure everybody here knows, the Sweat Economy's mission and Sweatcoin's mission is to make the world more physically active. How do we do that? We do that by issuing a token that incentivizes people to be physically active. So we think that that's a pretty great real world application. If we can, issue this token and it does actually encourage and make people become more active and healthier, that's fantastic. And then how do we do that, right? Because we want to make the token as valuable as we can be, because the more valuable the token, the greater the incentive you, our user, has to be physically active. And so we're trying to, everything we do is about really packing as much value as we possibly can into the token. And so there's a lot that we're doing there. The first is that from TGE, there's going to be an amazing rewards experience. So users will be able to receive both on-chain and off-chain rewards based on the amount of sweat that they're staking. So this is really exciting. What we're trying to offer here is a mix of Web3 and Web2 offerings. So, for Web3 offerings, it could be things like airdrops of NFTs, or maybe a prize draw to a really high value and exclusive NFT. In the Web2 world, it's kind of looking at things like gift cards, or maybe a free subscription to an online platform that you know and like and use to watch your TV shows. And as well on the staking side, we're obviously going to give users a yield for staking their sweat. So that's a really great, you're going to actually have a lot of value by hodling and accumulating sweat. You're going to get rewards and you're going to get a yield, which, is really, really exciting. And I think gives everybody a reason, to be that little bit more physically active than they would be otherwise. And yeah, I think the other thing, by the way, that is going to be really, really exciting in the future is the movement data that is contained or created by use of sweat economy. So what's kind of interesting is that, of course, Sweatcoin has never sold a single cent of data to third party, of user data to third parties, right? We've always protected data. That's really, really important to the company. But what we could do with Web3 is allow our users to monetize their own data, right? So it wouldn't be sweat economy monetizing their data. It would be you, the user, who's created that valuable data, actually then receiving the revenue from it. And there are lots of entities that are interested in this kind of data, right? Like health insurers, doctors, other types of companies, researchers, so on and so forth. And so if you can actually then get paid for providing this valuable data, that's great and provides an even bigger reason to be physically active.
Thank you very much, Henry. And I think what you said there about rewards kills two birds with one stone. Defected Sai, I saw you put a comment in the Discord channel asking about on-chain and off-chain rewards. And I hope Henry's answer there also covered that. On to a question that has been really popular across Twitter, Discord, and all of our channels. The question, when and where will Sweat be listed? Henry.
That's a great question. So when listing is the summer. I know that you guys are all looking for more detail and more kind of a more precise date. We'll give that to you as soon as we can. We're working very, very hard to get this token liquid and listed as soon as possible. But it's going to be summer, and when summer, northern hemisphere summer, just to clarify, as opposed to southern hemisphere summer. And then where is it going to be available? So we're building natively on Near, so the token is going to be available as an NEP 141 token and as an ERC20 token. So just to give a little bit of extra context there, that basically means the token is going to be available as an Ethereum token or in the ERC20 format. There's also going to be available as a Near token in the NEP 141 format. The NEP 141 format is basically Near's equivalent of ERC20. And then we want to make the token available on DEXs, both on Near and Ethereum. So we're definitely going to have the token available on Uniswap from TGE. And we will also have it available on a DEX on Near. We haven't quite decided which DEX on Near we're going to use yet, but we'll definitely keep you updated as we learn more. We'll also be running really, really attractive liquidity mining programs, which we would, love you, our community, to participate in. And we're going to make it, attractive and highly incentivized. So it could be a lucrative thing to participate in, but obviously do your own research. In terms of centralized exchanges, we can't quite announce that yet, but we are speaking to many of the biggest exchanges in the world, names you've definitely heard of. And all I'll say is stay tuned, because we'll definitely provide some exciting news and updates on that soon.
Just a tease, really, aren't you, Henry? No, I'm sure everyone's looking forward to that detail as and when we can reveal it. A question from Aled within the community. I think you've touched upon this. Maybe we can go into it in a bit more depth. Are we going to have the option to stake Sweat when it launches? Can you go into a bit more depth on that, please?
Absolutely. So we're going to give users the option to stake for 3, 6, or 12 months. And there'll be a higher APY for longer staking periods. And the staking will be available within the Sweat Wallet app from launch onwards. And within that staking as well, you're going to get an additional reward, right? So Staking kind of brings two rewards with it. One is APY, and two is rewards, right? These are the on and off chain rewards that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, staking will be available, and you're going to get APY and on and off chain rewards for it.
Thank you. Charlie, you can do Vintage Vic's question because I'm the one, I always get his name wrong. I now know it's Vintage Vic. I know, for a long time I thought it was Vintajevich or something, sort of, I don't know, Eastern European. Vintage Vic, very active member of our community across all channels. You please shoot with his question.
Sure thing. So Vic's question is, the sweat distribution highlighted in the light paper mentions a 10% private sale allocation. Can you elaborate on the details of that?
Absolutely, yes. So we have run a private token sale that has given us the capital to help kind of grow and develop the sweat economy ecosystem and create lots of value, which we hope you guys are all going to share in. We've allocated a maximum of 10% for that sale. However, it's really unlikely that the full 10% is going to be allocated. So we're kind of raising the capital that will help us grow and add as much utility as we can to the whole ecosystem and the token. But yeah, that's about as much as we can say on the private sale at the moment.
No worries. Thanks, Henry. Interesting question here, quite topical at the moment, from T1358 in the community. He asked, wouldn't it be better to launch Sweat after the Fed stops raising rates? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We'd obviously like to launch in the best market conditions possible, and it does seem that not just crypto markets, but all kind of global markets are having a bit of a tough time at the moment. But it's really impossible to predict, what the market's going to do, and we don't want to delay, right? We want to actually just build this and get this out and start getting, the world moving, getting the world more physically active, and sharing in this kind of value creation with everybody. Sweatcoin has succeeded. I think it's worth noting, right? Sweatcoin was founded in 2016. Sweatcoin is, it's a app that relies and feeds off people's movement. And then, we had 2 years of basically global lockdown on and off. And yet, in spite of that, right, and that's kind of the worst thing that could possibly happen, because people literally they were locked at home, right? People literally couldn't move. So that's almost the worst possible thing that could have happened to Sweatcoin. And yet, in spite of that, the company has still come through, managed to grow, like really, really successfully, as you just mentioned, Jess, earlier, like 90 million users. Like, if you think about it, for most of the last 2 years, everybody's been locked inside and not really being able to have as much benefit as they would normally have from Sweatcoin. So I think this just demonstrates our ability to survive and thrive in every condition. Markets are going to boom and bust, but Sweat is here to stay. I think we're pretty winter-proof.
Thank you very much, Henry. So the following up question is from Sue Pretty. I think I've said that right. Probably a bit like Vintage Vic. I'm gonna get someone tell me that I've pronounced it incorrectly. But it's a good question, and one we've seen a lot of. Could the community hold Sweat in other wallets, or would it only be available on the app? If it's only available in the app, can you convert it into a stable coin there and withdraw it?
Great question. Thank you so much, Sue Pretty, for that. So yes, Sweat is a cryptocurrency. So it is interoperable and liquid with the rest of the crypto kind of ecosystem. It just depends in what chain you're building on. So natively, we're building on Near, and the Sweat that you receive for your steps will be in any P141 or Near format. And then we will have a version that's available in Ethereum too. And you will be able to withdraw and deposit Sweat from external sources. So if you earn Sweat into your Sweat wallet and you want to withdraw that, to an exchange, you'll be able to do that. If you buy Sweat on an exchange and then want to deposit it into the Sweat wallet, maybe to stake it and start earning the rewards, you can also do that. So absolutely, yes. You'll just need to make sure that you are, doing it on the correct chain. So if you're earning on Near at the start, then you'll need to withdraw to a Near compatible wallet. We will be introducing, multi-chain compatibility within the Sweat wallet soon, so that you'll be able to actually do even more within the wallet in the months after TGE. And yeah, obviously from there, you can, once you're in an exchange or an external wallet, you can exchange it into USDC or USDT or whichever asset you wish, whichever asset is available. But eventually, we want to be able to offer that to you, our users, all within the Sweat wallet, so you can do everything in one place.
Thanks, Henry. We're making really good progress. I think we're going to have some decent time for audience questions at the end, and I can see the number of hands raising below getting higher and higher. A quick question here from Alex Kima from the community. Will there be a limit for selling tokens after the launch?
So you'll be able to, the tokens that you have and that are unlocked and liquid, you can do whatever you want with them. You can stake them, you can sell them, you can buy more, or whatever. So there's no restrictions on those tokens. But the tokens and that includes, by the way, also tokens that you receive for your physical activity. Those will be fully liquid and transferable, like straight away without restriction or anything else. Obviously, if you're a Sweatcoin user and you opt into crypto before TGE, then you will receive an airdrop of 1 Sweat to every Sweatcoin you have, which is obviously like a really great deal, and that's a one-off deal. So if you haven't created your Sweat wallet, don't forget. But those tokens that we're airdropping to our users are actually going to unlock gradually. So a small percentage of those will be liquid at TGE, and the rest will unlock gradually over time. But you can only transfer or do anything with those tokens once they are unlocked. So while they're locked, they sort of will sit there in your Sweat wallet. You can see them, but you won't be able to touch them or do anything with them.
Great. Thank you, Henry. On to a few questions that maybe are a little less heavy on the crypto and tokenomics side. A really interesting question from Pikachu Plays, who I see is in the audience here. What kind of companies do you envision becoming movement validators in the future? Will people like Samsung be able to stake Sweat to operate as a movement validator? Who do you see as being potential operators of this function?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Pikachu Plays. You've obviously done your homework and been reading up on the light paper, because this is exactly our long-term mission, is to have multiple movement validators, right? Multiple apps doing what Sweatcoin does at the moment, which is validating your movement and allowing people to actually move to earn. And so what we would love is to work with people like, the example, and the example we use maybe is like Fitbit or Peloton or Technogym. Please note, those are just examples. We don't have any relationships formally with those companies yet. And yeah, then they could plug in and use Sweatcoin's proof of movement technology to allow their users to start actually minting Sweat for their physical activity. And that's really exciting, of course, because we want to be targeting big companies, those companies and that can even be people like a Samsung or a Xiaomi, right? Anybody that has basically a large distribution, a large user base already. There's no reason why they couldn't actually integrate our proof of movement technology and allow their users to start earning as well. And this ties in really nicely to our grand vision of creating an open, permissionless and decentralized economy of movement, right? Which we're calling the Sweat economy. That's why we call ourselves the Sweat economy, and not because we believe that actually we can create this like economy where there is a market for movement, and people end up kind of receiving the value they create by being active and by being healthy. this is core to our mission, right? Because we do really believe that physical activity does have an economic value, right? When you are physically active, you create value for yourself, your family, your society, health insurers, economies, etc. And so the wider the distribution we can get to that, right? And we can get a bigger distribution by partnering with these big companies, like your example of Xiaomi. That's a really interesting example. And the more people that we can get participating in this economy, the bigger we make the pie, the bigger we make the network, the more value that's created for all stakeholders. So that's really, really exciting, and something that we're really excited to start and continue developing. It's something that might take a little bit of time. We're not expecting to kind of land, a huge household name like a Xiaomi or a Samsung or an Apple this year. But in time, I think, it's something that we can really build and develop, because the use case is just so compelling for everybody. It's a win-win. There's kind of no reason not to.
I noticed that, and this leads us on to the next question, but obviously as a company, and we've heard from Oleg and Anton and Igor and now yourself on stage at various AMAs, we talk a lot about this mission. We talk a lot about the sweat economy that we're looking to create. But I think that does give rise to questions like the following with regards to different entities, I guess, within that umbrella of the sweat economy. And obviously right now, everybody's using the Sweatcoin app. Cookie Vampire, one of our community members, actually wrote, I'm writing an article on Sweatcoin and I was going through the light paper. So Sweatcoin and Sweat token, will they coexist? What's the reason? And I think sometimes it can be challenging for us to communicate, the connection between these different entities. Do you want to give that a shot?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good question, because I can see that there is potential for confusion, and it's important that we clarify everything. So Sweatcoin is the Web 2 product, and it's also the Web 2 asset, right? So, and the Web 2, I think it's useful to kind of distinguish between Web 2 and Web 3. So on the Web 2 side, you've got the Web 2 product, which is Sweatcoin, the app, and you've got the Web 2 asset, which is Sweatcoin, the centralized asset that's like an AMA. And then on the Web 3 side, you've got on the Web 3 side, you've got the Web 3 product, which is Sweat Wallet, which is our non-custodial wallet, which, nearly 8 million people have created their non-custodial wallet for. Super exciting. And then you also got the Web 3 asset, which is Sweat, the token. And we've got both because we want to, again, capture, it comes back to that point, right, about making this economy and making this ecosystem as big as possible. As much as I think, we all love crypto, right? And if you're in this Discord channel and you're listening to this AMA, it's probably because you love crypto, you're a crypto native, you own crypto, you trade, you're familiar, you know what your private keys are and all that stuff. But it's easy to forget that I think like 95% of the world are still very, unsure about crypto. Not everybody's ready for it. And you just have to kind of look, a bit broader to see that, like, maybe your parents or something, can you imagine them actually using like non-custodial wallets? No. But can you imagine them using Sweatcoin? Maybe. Yeah, actually, my mum uses Sweatcoin. And so I think it's about really providing a solution for the widest possible audience. We have Sweatcoin, right? And that's great. And I think this is a mass market product that almost anybody of any age, any level of technological sophistication can use. And then on the web, and then for those users who are ready to move into Web 3, they can, right, with Sweat and the Sweat wallet. But we don't want to force them to do it, right? It doesn't really work. In our experience, you trying to be like, guys, Web 3 is so much better and so much cooler, and Sweat is much better than Sweatcoin. Like, we know that and we see that, and that's great. But people need to sort of come when they are ready. And so we expect that, the number of users and the percentage of users that move from Web 2 into Web 3 is going to increase over time, right? Gradually over the next few years as everybody gets more comfortable and more familiar with the ideas of crypto and Web 3. So that's the main reason we've got both is really to attract the biggest and sort of, attract the biggest total addressable market.
No, I totally agree with you. I think for many everyday users, crypto isn't solving many everyday problems right now. And I guess that's the sort of connection that we're hoping to make by putting this sort of broader mission behind what we're doing. I guess more specifically, I don't know whether that question was also seeking to understand what's going to happen to our steps between Sweatcoin and SweatToken going forward. Do you want to quickly touch on that? Like
Absolutely.
What are we earning with?
I think, absolutely. And by the way, I think, Jess, you're a really great example of that as somebody who, wasn't, so experienced and knowledgeable about crypto before joining Sweatcoin, but, you've begun to see that we are creating an application that really does have real world use, real world utility, and can actually make people's life change for the better. Like, we're a great example of the kind of business model innovation that the cryptocurrencies allow. Yeah. And then, sorry, the question was from Cookie Vampire, which is what are we minting with our steps, right?
Yes. Or where are our steps going? So can you still continue, I guess, to walk for Sweatcoins and Sweats? How will that work?
Absolutely, yeah. So users can basically choose, right? You can opt in. So you've got a Sweatcoin account. You can and so at the moment you will be minting Sweatcoin with your steps. You can choose by opting into crypto to instead mint Sweat with your steps. So that's really, really exciting. And then you can also move back and forth. So if you decide that you actually would like to go back to minting Sweatcoin for your steps for whatever reason, you can do that. So there's no kind of permanent change or irreversible decision. You've got total flexibility at all times. And of course, there's that one-off. There's one-off offer, which is if you opt in before TG, you actually get both, right? For every Sweatcoin you get now, you're going to get one Sweat at TG. And that's a kind of one-off offer, because after TG, you'll have to choose to either mint Sweat or Sweatcoins with your steps, but you won't be minting both at the same time.
And I think I would just add to that, just that at the beginning, at least, the plan is that if you have opted in, your first 5,000 steps in a day will go to Sweat. And so it starts with Sweat, and then anything above will go to Sweatcoins. So as Henry said, they won't be at the same time, but it will be one and then the next, if that's your choice. And I think, so we've got one last question before heading over to the stage. It's a pretty quick one from Dr. Kevin Bethel. Will Sweatcoin continue to have great rewards? Because for countries where the wallet is not available, it's going to be really important to keep the Sweatcoin marketplace kind of lively with great discounts and offers from really exciting partners. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So short answer, Dr. Kevin Bethel, is yes. Sweatcoin will continue to have great rewards in the marketplace, in every geography that it's available in. We care. That comes from the principle that we value all of our users and all of our community members. It doesn't matter if they're Sweatcoin or Sweat wallet users, and doesn't matter which geography they're in. So we will continue to be making and developing and growing Sweatcoin as much as we possibly can. This isn't a case of Sweat wallet replacing Sweatcoin. They're both going to kind of coexist and grow together. So what we're really focused on, right, is growing the pie, making it as big as we possibly can, so that everybody is kind of happy and succeeding.
Thank you. I would echo that as well. Privy to some of the deals that are coming down the pipeline from the incredible values and partnership team at Sweatcoin. There's some really awesome stuff coming, and indeed will be increasingly localized to different markets as well. Right, let's get into some questions from the audience. We'll start bringing people up, perhaps 3 at a time. Could I please ask that you keep your mic off when you come up and keep your questions short? And in an effort to try and get through as many of them as possible, please just one question. So if you have 2 or 3 in mind, select your best when we bring you up. rather than lots of follow-up questions. And don't get too offended if I eject you from the stage quite quickly. I just want to make sure we get through as many as we can. Thanks so much. I'm starting to bring people up now. Right, I actually can't remember the order in which I've brought people up, but we've got Gifted Synth on the stage. Can you hear us? And do you have a question for us?
Yes, can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Hi, thanks for the time, the QA. I have one question is about the crypto. Why do you want to mint the cryptos on Ethereum ecosystem instead of Cardano blockchain? Since now the Ethereum has been exposed to so many problems like high transaction fees and also the security issues. Thank you.
That's a great question. So we are, we want to make the tokens Sweat available on Ethereum because Ethereum is still by far and away the largest ecosystem within crypto, right? It's where there's the most dApps and the most opportunities for the token to grow and to grow into, particularly. So in spite of all of the kind of high transaction fees that you do see on Ethereum, which obviously is a problem, there's also the greatest opportunities and the biggest markets and everything else, things like Uniswap. So it's important to note that the tokens that you're minting with your steps, that will be available on Near. So you're going to be able to receive that and then also transfer it and move it around at very, very, very low cost, actually at no cost, because one thing that we've done with the Near Foundation is put enough kind of Near into your Sweat wallets to cover the first several hundred transactions. So that's great. So you can actually, there's no gas fees and no transaction costs for you to worry about within the Sweat wallet for quite some time. But if you want to take your Sweat and actually begin to kind of interact with, the most sophisticated and most developed ecosystem in the space, then that's Ethereum, and that's why we're putting it onto Ethereum first. However, it's not just Near and just Ethereum. We're going to be moving on to as many chains as we can, obviously in order of kind of priority and where we think there's the most demand from our user base to be on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Gifted Synth. I think next up on stage was RJ, if I pronounce that correctly. Do you have a question for Henry, RJ? I think you're muted.
Hello, sir, ma'am. I'm from the Philippines.
Welcome.
And yes, thank you very much. And I'm a police officer here at the Philippines. I just found
Fantastic.
out
You must be
the
getting your steps in.
I don't know what you're guys talking about this crypto and anything about. I just found out that you can track your steps, you can jog or anything, you can boost your what you call that? Boost your two times speed like that.
Boost. The
And
boost,
then you
yes.
earn your points. Oh, yes. And then you can buy something like necklace like that.
Yes.
Yes, from the marketplace.
That's right.
And then,
That's right.
yes. Yeah, I brought that from a certain amount of points. And then I think I didn't I don't know. I'm just new here from trading or anything. If anyone could
Welcome
help
to the
me.
community. Welcome to the community.
You're very welcome. And indeed, this is what our Discord is all about. Web2 users learning more about the Web3 world. So we're glad that you've got a great taste of the Sweatcoin app. You are also, if you're a police officer, you fall very squarely under our fabulous new Everyday Heroes social campaign that we're doing, where we really want to profile the people that walk a lot during their day and find an opportunity for you to be rewarded for those steps that you're taking by virtue of having a very active profession. So RJ, you should stay very tuned into this community to learn more about what Sweat and the crypto offers.
Yeah, I'm just learning. I'm listening to you guys. I just want to shout out. I want to learn about this.
Fantastic.
Ajay, thank you so much for joining and being part of the community. It's really, really great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on stage. Lovely to hear from you. And again, just looking at how international our community is and how broad the appeal for what we're doing is. Kurt, I think you are next. Did you have a question for us, for Henry, or indeed for myself or Charlie?
Hello. Yes, I did. I've got like a two-part question, if that's possible, just to kind of double up on it.
Cheeky.
Oh yeah, well, you don't ask, you don't get. That's what I say. So I'm a Sweatcoin user from the UK. I've been using it for quite a while, and amassed a decent amount of coins. So seeing the new light paper was quite exciting, but it's prompted just a couple of questions from me. I think probably the most obvious one, and to address the elephant in the room, I won't say the dreaded name, but comparing it to competitors in the space, particularly one beginning with S, is there any sort of information on how your NFTs will work and where they're going to be listed? I.e., will you work with a third-party marketplace, or is it all going to be done in-house? Is my first question.
So in terms of how the NFTs will work, I think we gave a little bit of information about that towards the beginning of the AMA. So yeah, it's going to be kind of dynamic NFTs, dynamic in the sense that the earning potential that they represent, you can change, you can level up, you can buy rarer NFTs, and you can obviously you have to maintain the NFT's energy in order for it to have the highest earning potential possible. In terms of your follow-up questions of like where is it going to be available? So of course you're going to be able to buy and earn these NFTs within the Sweat Wallet app. And then in terms of third-party marketplaces, whether it's kind of tradable within the Sweat Wallet or the Sweat Marketplace, at the moment the plan is to make the NFT marketplace within the Sweat Wallet app. So it all kind of exists within the Sweat Wallet. It can be your one-stop shop.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I was just curious to see if you would work with any third-party marketplaces, but all in-house sounds good. And then the only other question I've got is, I was literally just before you called me up speaking to someone in the general chat about the coins that I've amassed on the free plan since I joined, which is predominantly earned through walking my dog, actually. And it's only very, very, very recently that I've actually moved to premium, which in hindsight could have earned a lot more if I'd have done this sooner. But when the TGE drops, and apologies if you've already covered this, and I'm making you guys repeat yourself, is there any additional benefits that premium users will get after the TGE? Is it even going to be a thing? And if it is the subscription still the same in terms of paying for that with fiat, or will things be likely to change on that front?
That's a great question. So in terms of how premium is going to work after TGE and after the release of Sweat Wallet, so premium will absolutely exist. Sweatcoin is going to continue to sort of exist and operate relatively unchanged. Obviously, we're going to continue to kind of improve it and develop it over time. But yeah, there will be a premium feature and mode in terms of, and yeah, your users will be able to pay with fiat to kind of access premium. And there may even be an ability to get premium by holding and staking a certain quantity of sweat, but we can't say much more about it at the moment, but I guess you can connect the dots.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, I could fire off a bunch more questions, but I'm conscious that you guys have got other people up, so I'll probably call it there. But if you guys do you guys host AMAs very often, or I'm quite new to the Discord. You'll see I've got the new leaf, but this sort of space I'm quite well versed with.
So we're going to host AMAs sort of every other week, I think, is the plan. But if you have more questions, please feel free to put them in the various and appropriate Discord channels, and we'll do our best. Either the mods in the server or members of the team will do their best to answer any of your questions. They've been really great and informative. So thank you.
Yeah, so do follow us on Twitter as well, because we do occasionally do AMAs there, and you'll also find out about other AMAs that we might be doing with partners as well. So we're trying to do sort of one a week as a cadence, but in particular keen to do them here with our own community, and you'll get all the best stuff first, because that's why you're here, and we really want to thank you and make sure that you're the first to know when there's great stuff coming out. I think next up we had Sig Maxi. Are you there? Yes, you are. Great, you've unmiked. What's your question, please?
Hello. First of all, I hope you are all doing great today. So my question was not about the crypto thing that all people is asking. Is about maybe if there is going to be any API, any public API, or any form that we developers can apply to get an API. So maybe we can build apps, or maybe even Discord bots. I say Discord bots because this is what I have in my mind. So maybe I could make, for example, a Discord bot and make it public. This will be great for you to promote Sweatcoin, and maybe even after collaboration with you, people can use the bot and even gain and collect Sweatcoin from Discord bots.
So there's no API initially. It depends how would you see us using the Discord bot? Would you see that as something that we would use in our Discord channels?
Like a public Discord bot that can connect with your API, so it can have alerts. It can have
okay, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
From the app, basically your application you have on mobiles and stuff in a Discord bot as well, because Discord is a big platform with many people who are related to cryptocurrency and stuff, NFTs and stuff like this. So I believe, as a Discord developer, as a Discord bot developer, that this will be a good feature actually for your project.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Now I understand what you're saying. So at the start, we're not going to have the API keys initially, but we do want to have that like pretty soon after TG, because like I think it's absolutely a great idea, and we absolutely want to work with new developers such as yourself on how we can grow the whole ecosystem. And I love this idea of having a kind of sweat bot, which our community can develop. It's even better than if we develop it. But you can also extract certain types of data and information from the chain itself, right? Because everything's on chain and public. So that might be a short-term workaround for you that you could think about. It depends on the kind of information you're looking for. But what you can do is that there is a Sweatcoin move to earn API that might be an interesting solution for you, and we can definitely follow up in the Discord channel and see what opportunities there are.
Yeah. So because I think like maybe you missed something when I say for the Discord bot. I mean like people is installing, for example, from Play Store and App Store the application for Sweatcoin to work and collect coins, right? So what if people also had a Discord bot that, except for the announcement you do, except for the Twitter alert, except for the price alerts comes from CoinGecko API. That is not a thing. But they could also like use the bot constantly every day, and they could like gain a little bit of Sweatcoin from that. And I believe that is a good promotion as well for you, because after a bot gets verified, it's really, really easy to go to many servers.
It's a really interesting idea. It's definitely something we can look at a bit more. It sounds, I need a bit of time to think about it and see how it would work. But I love the creativity. I think it's a really interesting initiative and certainly like out of the box. So exciting. It's a really exciting idea. Thank you.
Yeah,
But
I'd agree. If we can find a way to perhaps connect you with our Discord team to understand more about the sort of thing that you're working. If worst case scenario, you can, if you follow me on Twitter and at me, we can DM about that. So I'd be interested in finding out more. My Twitter is at Jess Butcher, just like my Discord username.
all right, I will be glad to contact you. So I will do it right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Not at all. Next up, we've got Defected Psy, who I'm going to introduce because Defected Psy is taking credit for our health equals wealth strapline, which I think he has come up with at the same time as us. I did point out that we did already have this, but he's taking credit for it, and I love it when the community is so aligned on mission that they're using that. And I do think there's a hashtag in there we should be taking better advantage of. Sai, did you have a question for Henry or Charlie?
Yeah, I have, Jess. Thank you very much. Just first of all, I'm a massive supporter of kind of Sweatcoin. Not just kind of the socioeconomics, but also just because of the idea, you know, promoting health through, you know, empowerment and a financial reward at the same time. I think it's just ingenious. My question, as I've tried to get hold of Oleg a few times around this, is in terms of staking, and you might not possibly be able to tell me at the moment, what are the figures going to be for kind of like MVP or some of the other kind of like bigger programs? Because like a few people, I've amassed quite a few over the years. Yeah, us traders have to eat as well.
So you're interested in learning about the APYs or the interest rate on the staking yield, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. In terms of kind of like, I know Oleg was talking about possibly an MVP program. I ballparked a figure of about 17,500 Sweatcoins, but he never got back to me on that.
Yeah, so in terms of the percentage that we offer to our users, we can't give exact figures at the moment. Sorry, I know that's probably what you're looking for, but please stay tuned and we'll keep you updated. But yeah, one thing that we can share is that, you know, that you're going to receive obviously a higher yield, a higher APY based on the amount of time you're staking. And the other thing you're going to get, right, is not just APY, but also rewards, like those on and off chain rewards that we mentioned. But that's kind of, I think that's about as much as we can say on staking and staking yields at the moment.
No worries, Henry. I thought that was the case. As I said, I've tried a few different means, so that's all right. I'll leave it there. Thanks, folks.
No worries. Thank you so much for participating.
Yes, thank you for your question. I'm really conscious of time. I was supposed to be in a meeting 6 minutes ago, but we've got Basilius up on stage, so perhaps we'll take this as the very last question, and then love you all and leave you all. But Basilius, did you have a question for us?
Yes, hello. Please, I'm Basilius. I'm from Germany, and I have a question. Will the step coins, which we receive from friends or family, which will they become sweat, or only the steps or only the coins which we make in our own steps?
Wait, I didn't understand. I wasn't sure about the question.
I did. The refer a friend sweat coins that we get, it's a very easy and quick answer. The refer a friend sweat coins that they get, will they become sweat as well?
Yes, so absolutely. So all sweat coins that you have, every sweat coin in your Sweatcoin wallet at TGE will be counted in the airdrop. So please start referring. That's a really good point. You know, there's a double incentive to actually refer friends and get friends to activate your referral link and earn as many Sweatcoins as you can, because they will all be counted within the airdrop. So it's much better to obviously get to refer a friend before TG rather than after, because it counts to both your Sweatcoin balance and your sweat balance. So really, really good question.
Arguably, it's the easiest way to earn sweat right now. So everybody get referring as many friends as you can, because it's a brilliant boost.
Thank you very much for the answer.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for joining us on stage. And thank you so much to everybody for the incredible questions that we've had today and all the questions that were submitted prior to the AMA as well. I hope you've heard something new, something different, and really enjoyed hearing from Henry. I always learn so much from him, and I'm sure you've all taken some new information away from today. I hope you have. Charlie, was there anything you wanted to close us out with? Do you want to talk about everyday heroes or anything else that's going on in the communities at the moment?
Yeah, so I would just encourage everyone to post a video or an image of them earning sweat, whether that's walking the dog or going to work. We've had some really great and inspiring videos put up under the hashtag Everyday Heroes. If you go onto our Twitter, you'll see the kind of rules of the game and what you need to do to partake. But before we close out the AMA, there is one final exciting announcement that Henry is going to make about a burn that we're doing. Henry.
Yes. Hey, everyone. So, really, really exciting news. We are burning 4 billion sweat coins, which also means we're going to be burning 4 billion sweat. So that means that, what does that mean? That means the supply of sweat is lower, which means that the sweat that you have is actually more valuable because the whole value of the network has remained the same. So it just means that you've got a slightly, the pie is the same size, right? But somebody, we're removing a slice, so it means your slice is even bigger than it was before. So this is great because it's really positive for token economics. It reduces circulating supply, and is a really, really exciting development. And please also understand that, this is not the end. This is just the start. We are constantly working on ways to improve our token economics and drive as much value to you, our user.
Awesome. Thank you, Henry. I think that's a really exciting announcement. Everyone in the community has been asking about the circulating supply, and I think this is a really exciting announcement that we're about to put out everywhere across Twitter, Discord, but you here in the AMA are the first ones to hear about it.
Hear, hear. All right, guys, it's a wrap for today. We will be posting the next AMA information about when that will happen in due course. Stay tuned. Keep asking your questions in the community and or on Twitter or wherever you fancy. We love to hear from you, and we really want to hear your thinking and respond and let you know the latest. So thank you all so much for joining us, for the fantastic questions. Charlie, Henry, thanks so much for your time. Hugely appreciated, and we will be back here again very soon. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jess.